Hey guys, it's Emily. Welcome to Posy Lane. So today we're going to be using Puffy Paint to make stickers. And I love any excuse to use Puffy Paint. I've always loved it. So when it was warmer, I made some like summery Puffy Paint stickers, and when I put them on the window, they started to melt. And I was kind of bummed because I thought about them being kind of like gel clings like you see at the store. And so I decided as soon as it was cold enough, I was going to make some that were maybe in a different holiday theme that I could put on the window and they wouldn't melt. And now it is cold enough. And Valentine's is right around the corner. So we're going to be making some like Puffy Paint stickers that are for Valentine's. And the thing about Puffy Paint, I know I've said that I love it, but I have a really funny story from when I was a kid. I would just go crazy and go to town if someone gave me access to Puffy Paint when I was younger. And around like 8 or 9 years old, I was in a church play, and they decided it was a good idea to let you decorate your own Christmas sweater for like your costume if you were one of the background singers in the choir. And I was one of those background singers in the choir. So I had this whole red sweatshirt, and you were supposed to do a nice little stencil and decoration to look Christmassy. And that whole front was covered in like dots of dots of Puffy Paint all over it, and dots of green, and just, it was covered in Puffy Paint. Probably not what they were thinking, but I had so much fun making it. So let's get started making our stickers. The supplies to make these are super simple and easy, and really if you only had like one color of this paint and some parchment paper, you could make something. So for me, I went to the store and tried to find things that I thought were more like Valentine's-y, if that's really a word. And so I found red and pink and purple and then white. And I also have some stuff left over from the other time that I may use, but this is the things that made me think of like Valentine's. And then the other thing you need is parchment paper. And I've tried this with wax paper. And when I did wax paper, I think the only difference between wax paper, this is a side note, and parchment paper is that there's like a waxy surface to the wax paper. But for some reason, that waxy surface made the stickers, when I tried to peel them, stick more, and they didn't really want to come off. And so a lot of them ripped, and it was kind of a fail. So I don't want you to do what I did. I want you to learn from my experience and just try to use parchment paper. And I usually can find this at the dollar store and at Walmart. And that way, when you go to make your stickers and they're dry, when you peel them off, they should peel off. As long as you're careful, they should do a good job. And that's all you need. I started with using this really pretty pink, and I'm doing a smaller heart in the middle. And my plan was to do kind of layers of different colors all around that smaller heart, and that heart kind of being the core. And I had 2 different shades of red. So I did one with a true red, and then I used the deep red as another layer. And if you can tell, I don't know if it can come across on the screen very well, but they are different shades, and it adds a little bit of interest. And for the last layer, I did purple, and with the last layer, I just wanted to make sure that it was thick enough so that when I peel it off, that it will peel off with no problems and it won't rip. Then I did another one that's going to be layered like that, and I did it with white. Just making a smaller white heart in the middle, and then using the red on the outer rim to make it into a bigger heart. And I really love that contrast of the white with the red. And again, I use the 2 different shades of red because I really like just that subtle little bit of difference that makes. The next one I did was just a simple heart. And so I made the heart shape and I fill it in. And when I fill in, I always just aren't necessarily squeezing out paint, but I'm moving some of the paint around and squeezing when necessary. And I decided to do polka dots on these just as a little fun detail. And when I do the polka dots, I just squeeze a little bit of the paint out. You want to make sure not to squeeze too much out because then you don't get really the dot effect. And the last one I did red with white polka dots. And the reason I did the white polka dots is because it reminded me of Minnie Mouse and kind of a little like tribute to her. Next one I did a simple red heart and filled it in, and I decided to give it wings. So with the white, I kind of made the shape of like a feather and made each one a little bit smaller on each side, and did about 3 feathers per side and filled it in. The next thing I did a smaller red heart, and I'm using that to make like a conversation bubble, you know, like you would see maybe in a comic strip. So I wanted that red detail first, and then I made the conversation bubble around that and filled it in. I did kind of go over the red a little bit more just because I noticed that some of the white had gotten onto the red. Next thing I did was X's and O's. I think that's perfect for Valentine's Day, kind of like hugs and kisses. And so the main key thing with this that I noticed is that you really want to make sure that all of the letters are thick enough so that you're going to be able to peel it. So when I did like the X's, I made them a little bit wider and filled them in and didn't make it just like a straight line. And when I did the O's, I just kind of went over the O shape more than once, kind of going around and round, making sure that it had enough paint and would be thick enough. And I really love that pink and red together. The next thing I did was the arrows. And for the arrows, I'm making several of these because I was kind of nervous about them ripping, and I wanted at least one or two of them to come out. And the way I made them was I just made like a line in the middle for the stick, and then I did a triangle at the top for the point of the spear, or not really a spear, but the point of the arrow. And then I used a different color to add a little bit more fun and interest to it for the feathers. And I just did 3 lines on each side that were at a diagonal to make it look like feathers. And so I ended up doing 4 in all in different colors, and hopefully a couple of these will come out. I decided to do another one that had like the layer effect to it, and I did a white center again, and this time I did purple as one of the layers on the outer rim, and then the last color I did was the pink. And I did have a little trouble with the pink kind of getting stuck or like jammed in the tip. So I wanted to tell you, if you have that issue, make sure you have some paper towels nearby so that you can kind of squeeze it out and clear it all up. And also just the tips kind of get messy as you're moving around the paint. So it's helpful to have that to clean off the tips. The last thing I did were these just simple hearts, but I decided to give it like a detail of like light glaring on it or reflecting off of it. So I'd make the heart, and then I did a dot of white and a little line of white just to kind of give that effect. And I did that in purple and then in both of the shades of red that I had. These all dry overnight and they're ready to peel off. And if you notice, I gently use kind of the edge of my thumb to release each of them off of the parchment paper. If you just yanked it off too quickly, it may rip, and I'm really trying to be careful so it doesn't rip. And I know I keep talking about that, but I don't want them to be ruined. So if you can see, I'm just gently trying to get an edge free, and then once you get an edge free, it's easier to peel it off of the parchment paper. I was able to get all of the stickers except for one off of the parchment paper. I had one casualty, which really wasn't that bad because I was expecting maybe more than that to rip. So I'm really glad that most of them came off the parchment paper with no problems. I think the problem with that one was I didn't make like a thick enough border on it. It kind of felt thin when I was peeling it. So it was like a user error. But other than that, all of them stuck really well to the window. And luckily it's cold enough outside where I can put them on the window. But if you don't have a window where you can put them, any kind of flat surface they should stick to, like a mirror or maybe a refrigerator. But I love how I can look out sitting on the couch in my living room and I'll see all these bright, cheerful Valentine's Day colors. I love the X's and the O's. And I also love all these little purple and pink and red hearts. They're so fun. And I think my favorite thing are the arrows, which I was the most nervous about peeling those off because I thought they would rip, and they really didn't. So I was so excited that they didn't. And I know I'm calling these stickers, but that's kind of technically not what they are. They're more like a gel cling, or if you're old enough like me, they're kind of like a Colorform, but for the most part, I would call them stickers. So I really am happy with all of them. And I'm so glad that you guys came and joined me to make these. If you made your own, please tag me on Instagram because I would love to see what you made too. And thank you guys so much for joining me this week. I had so much fun, and I'm really looking forward to our next craft.